Well, this Champions League season is not getting any easier. We've got another tricky game to head into this evening as Linfield are struggling in the Europa as well. We've also got a match in my favourite competition, and we've just lost our first league game of the season. Another chance at the Invincibles goes awry. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 154 of this Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back today, fresh off our first league defeat of the season as the invincible opportunity disappears again. And more importantly, if Linfield win their 3 games in hand, they'll be level on points with us again, as they've been pretty good, aside from their defeat against us. Today, though, the focus is on other competitions as we go to Gladbach in the Champions League, with us floating in the middle of that league table, and Hamilton at home in the SPFL Trophy as we go into a very busy festive schedule. We're all used to that, though, aren't we? As you can see, we're struggling with a few injuries. There's a few murmurings of discontent from fringe members of the squad, so we might actually see a little turnaround this year. If you're looking forward to it, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. As you can see, we've come to start with our results since the last episode, and it does include us winning a trophy. So you were with me for the defeat at Real Madrid, where we only lost 2-1, but we were played off the park. Since then, it was all going pretty well. Well, that was until last Saturday anyway. We beat Carrick 2-0 in the Irish Premiership, with Scully and Bird getting first half goals. A big win in the League Cup quarter-final against Glentoran. Young goalkeeper Joel McLaughlin made his debut and was brilliant. He had to play because our first 2 choices were on international duty and injured respectively. With a 5-0 victory there with a Scully hat-trick and 1 each for Vladimir and Elliot. Another clean sheet for him on the Friday as we drew 0-0 at home to Derry City. That was the first leg of the Irish Champions Cup final, and we got the second leg job done with a 6-2 victory, and that was despite being 2-0 down at one stage. We bounced back with aplomb, a Mark Scully hat-trick, 2 for Cowan and 1 for Jordan Gash too. A 3-2 win against Ballymena was not easy in the Antrim Shield. We were actually under pressure for a lot of this game, but late on we just pulled away from them before allowing a grandstand finish. Scully with 2 and Stephen Cowan with 1. A 3-2 win against AEK was probably undeserved, but we nicked it. It was 2-2 going into extra time as Scully and Elliot had got 1 apiece after we went behind early. However, in the 93rd minute, an under-hit back pass from AEK, and Mark Scully was there to pounce, keeping up his great record for the season and giving us a crucial 3 points looking at the rest of our fixtures. A 3-0 win was a bit more routine at Ballina Millard. It was Merival Austin's penalty and 2 for Mark Scully again, before a 5-1 win in the League Cup semi-final, and Morgan Griffiths hat-trick and 2 for Jordan Howard. And then, well, disappointment at the weekend. A 3-1 defeat away at Larne. Morgan Griffiths came on due to an injury to Merival Austin and Howard in the first half. And unfortunately, his goal was not enough because our former man Ian Lewinson got 2. And Antonio Ambrosio is having a good season for them, where he got 1 as well. And it is something to note too, because those sides at the top now are looking a little better this year. Saykirk has really come to the fore for Coleraine. Larne are looking good going forward. So maybe next year, with that coefficient still in the top 16, we can have that next big push for Northern Irish football. Maybe I'm just being optimistic. For Northern Ireland, the news was disappointing as well. We did get the win as expected against Latvia in our final group stage game. Saykirk made his debut in that one for the country. Unfortunately, of the second place teams, we were the lowest ranked, so we didn't get to the World Cup. You can see there, we missed out by 2 points in the end. So a bit of disappointment after 2 major tournaments in a row, as we were the only home nation not to make it as well. But there are a few players just coming to the fore now, and I'm hoping once we get through this little awkward stage, we'll have some really good players. The big difference for the international team this time is we had 2 or 3 key players injured in most of the qualifying campaigns, and we can't cope with that. So unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. For now though, let's go and get into 2 big games today. You can see, as well as the players that are injured, we've got loads that are 1 from a suspension, loads that have just come back from injuries as well. It is a squad where we've struggled to keep people fit this year, and it is turning into a problem for us as we play more competitions, as we play more games. We are picking up more knocks. But let's go and get through to the first game tonight. Away to Gladbach, who have had a poor start in this, but they beat us today. They're 2 points behind, and we finish against Lyon and Newcastle. Now, Newcastle are probably going to win at home to us. And then it comes down to the Lyon game. They put us out of the Champions League 2 years ago. They've not been great this year so far. I wouldn't put it past them, and I wouldn't want to rely on that game. So if we can get a point tonight, we should be safely through in that top 24. But that's a big ask. Let's see if we can do it against Daniel Farke's men. Couple of players to close down who are definitely worth a look. 35,000 in at Gladbach, and we've got injuries after the weekend. So let's go and get our team adjusted. We'll be back in a minute to run through it. Well, aside from Cliff O'Connell, who has literally just returned from loan, every single player who is fit is in the squad today. Of course, it's a 12 subgroup. It's not a big thing, but we've got a lot of young players on there. Dunn and Misalidis are on the bench and should both be able to feature at some point in today's episode. But the 11 we've gone for only sees one change from the Lahm defeat, which is a big call, given the performance we put in there. But I do hope we're certainly going to get a response of some form. So the lineup in full is Morrison in goal. Still nearly called him Jim. Jonathan Morrison. Reed and Stow the fullbacks with Bird and Davis as centre-half. Bayavang and Lonsdale the midfield two. Merivale Austin ahead of them. And then Cowan in for the injured Howard. Vladimir off the left. Mark Scully through the middle. Vladimir's back in form, which is good to see. Bayavang probably on his way out. Wanted by Celtic. Wanted by Crystal Palace. And he's trying to force his way out of the club. So that might be a problem for later in the year. But for now, let's submit the team. Let's get through to the first game tonight. Can we get a performance in the Champions League? One more result, we should be through. Well, as we mention every time, it's the battle of the two glitches. Since we've loaded these extra playable leagues from this save. Daniel Farke is a manager, so they've got one in this save. However, they've not got a full subs bench and haven't built that big squad up. Having said that, they've got some real good players. Watch out for White, the skipper, Levitsky up front, and Sadio at centre-half, who are all superstars. Let's go and tell the lads there's no pressure on you. Get them relaxed. We're going to drop to a balanced mentality, get through the Champions League theme tune. We'll be back in a minute for first half highlights and hopefully a positive outcome. Well, this has all been a bit boring, hasn't it? 40 minutes and no highlights. Though as I say that, we come back with a free kick for Vladimir, headed away, and now on the counter they've got acres of space. But Davis, what a recovery run. Gets it back for Cowan. They're definitely putting in a better performance than against Lahm, where we were 2 down already at this stage. But Gladbach are working out, and Merivale Austin flies into a tackle. We get away with it. He doesn't get punished, and he's nicked it again. Goes back to Davis and Lonsdale. Short ball for Bird. Gash not in there tonight. Probably will go in January, because if we get offers of 8 or 9 million again, I'm happy with Lonsdale to be his replacement now. As Vladimir gets down the left, nicks it off the defender. Chance to cross, there's 2 in there. Goes alone and it's a good save. Over for a corner kick. It was a great opportunity. And we finally come to life just before the break. Loving the star jumps warm up by whoever that sub was. As Vladimir's corner to the back post. Have I seen us wear an all black kit before? I feel like this is different. I can't actually work out what our away kit normally is. I'm trying to think in the Irish Premiership when we don't play in white, because I don't think any other teams do they? So we're probably just in our home kit all the time. Is that something I've not noticed? What did we play against Real Madrid last year? Did we play them away from home? I'm getting very sidetracked here. I genuinely can't think what our away kit is. Have we ever played in black before? We must have done. I've just not been noticing it. As here they are on the left Gladbach. It's still 0-0 here. And in more pressing matters, we probably need to find a result or at least cling on for this one. Do I trust us to keep a clean sheet? Our away record has not been great in this competition. And here they come again. We struggled against AEK. We're struggling against Gladbach. That's a brilliant run. Noah's resigned to conceding. I don't know how he's missed that. It's an absolutely shocking miss. But we're not going to complain. They've had no shot on target. Merivale Austin has picked up yet another injury. And Vladimir's struggling too. So the 2 boys that have returned to fitness are both going to get half an hour. Damien Dunn as the number 10. Misalidis off the left-hand side. We need them to stay fit and produce performances, because this season they've both been out pretty regularly. We've got 25 minutes remaining. There's still some pretty poor performers in there. So Houston is going to come on for Bayavang, who's not been great since he became unhappy. And then Cowan will be replaced by Elliott on the right. I do want to think about Scully, but we've not got an option other than McGuckin, who's not good enough. So our chances now are either to go for Bird or Stow. And I'm going to take off Bird. On a booking, poor performance, Duncan McKenzie comes on. We know we can trust him, one of our homegrown legends at the club. And we are now getting on top according to the stats, but we cannot find a goal. And our expected goals suggest we're not creating great chances. as here come Gladbach over the top. Just don't lose this game. Mackenzie keeps it in, gives it a big clearance. Elliott flicks it down for Reed. Would not mind a 1-0 smash and grab on the counter. We haven't had a 1-0 to the Distillery for a while, have we? I feel like we need to get them back. Let's go grumpy. Let's go defensive. Let's go long ball. Let's make it a pain to watch as it's over the top from Gladbach. Davis header away is poor. It's going to be 1-0 the other way at this rate. Great block from Reed. Stow nods it away. It should have been 1-0. And despite all of our dominance on the stats, it has been two great chances for Gladbach that should have been taken. And Misselidis is away at the other end, off the left, into Damien Dunn. The two subs combine. The two players we've been missing for the last 6 to 7 weeks. Damien Dunn nods one in on the rebound from Misselidis' shot. And that is what we've been missing. A smash and grab counter. The expected goals is lower for us. Gladbach have missed 2 glorious chances. And we have nicked a 1-0. Completely undeserved in the Champions League. With time wasted our way to the end. And we should be through to the knockout round. And now is whether we can sneak the top 8. I doubt it with the games we've got left. Back in a moment to play in my favourite competition against Hamilton. You're not going to see many of the boys who started that one. We'll be back in a minute with a very rotated team as we continue our chase for another UK trophy. Well, it's fitness test time, but we return first with a youth intake preview, which is rubbish again, despite all the upgrades to facilities and everything. Yes, we had Matthew Freeman last time, but on this occasion, we're not getting a star by the looks. We've got a few fitness tests to consider. Jordan Gash is back and can play. Jordan Howard, probably not fit enough. And Kyle Carr, we may or may not risk. Let's go and get through to the team selection. Hamilton at home is the test. They are currently 8th in the Scottish Championship. And we'll be back in a minute to run through our 11. Well, it's a pretty interesting side we've put out today, with Jordan Gash getting some football to build up his fitness. We've got Kyle Carr playing with protective equipment. I'm trying not to use him too much, but we need to have a left back for this game. The rest of the team is people returning to fitness, returning to the team, and people who wouldn't normally get a game who are youngsters, so the likes of Kidd and Freeman in particular. The team, however, is bookended by 2 first-team stars. Morrison starts in goal against Scottish opposition, and Mark Scully is the only fit striker. That means that our team in full for this game is Morrison in goal, Carr and Freeman the youngster are the fullbacks, with Kidd and Mackenzie a centre-half, Gash and Houston in the midfield, Elliott, Dunn and Misselidis the attacking 3, and Mark Scully playing through the middle. I did think about bringing in Griffiths, floating it around with Misselidis up front, but basically, off the left and up front, the only other option's McGuckin, and he is a sub at best. So let's go and get through to the Hamilton game. We've got a good enough side out to win. We've had a few bad days recently. With a few players in this team not fit, it could be a little bit disjointed. Well, 3 changes for Hamilton Academical. Let's see how we get on against them. They're not one of the top championship teams at the minute, so we would expect to get a result, but we've said that before in certain games and not managed it. And that defeat against Larne has taken a bit of the confidence, as well as some of the other poorer recent performances. We're into the first half of this one. Linfield is still in it as well, as Morrison has to make a good save from a free kick after a pretty average start. You can see Hamilton have brought a big crowd away from home. I guess now in the SPFL, because we're a bigger reputation team, it's almost like we're playing a top Scottish Championship team every time, and the same for when they come and visit us. As Morrison gathers the corner, it's a pretty quiet start. With 3 minutes gone, we are back for a long ball forward, which Jonathan Morrison, I've said it again, will get back, and he plays out. Big ball over the top from Gash. Scully will chase, as will Misselidis, who nicks him from a hesitant goalkeeper. It is 1-0 Distillery in the 4th minute. It was not a pretty goal. It was an overhit hoof from Gash, and Misselidis just took advantage of poor goalkeeping. 1 shot, 1 goal. I'm happy enough with that. We're back with 28 on the clock, and it's been a dominant display according to the stats from Distillery, but not a great deal of chances to show for it in highlights, as Scully brings the ball away downfield here. Got support from all 3 of the attacking midfielders behind. Gets to the byline, goes back towards Damien Dunn. Back in the team, and he hits the post. Oh, big goal from him in midweek, and it should have been another there. It's been such a frustrating season for him, because he's looked the best player every time he's been on the pitch. He's just not been there long enough, and it's been a frustration. 3, 4, 5 games, then he's injured again. And it's something that happened to Misselidis last year. It has happened a few times, as Misselidis makes the interception there, and Scully can bring it away. He's got 5 getting up in support. Inside of him is Jordan Gash, who set up the first. has options ahead of him, turns back right, think Elliott's offside there. He's picked out the only offside option out of 5, and it stays 1-0. It is a good performance. We look great on the counter. At the moment, we've only got 1 goal to show for it. And at 1-0, anything can happen, including a corner, which Hamilton have got now. Headed away well to Damien Dunn. But he's nicked back on the edge of the box, crossed into Polworth. Mackenzie heads clear. Philip down to Dempsey. Philip again. Hamilton will just be looking for a chance to stun us, because Larn did it last week and we didn't recover, as Redmond's in, back to Polworth. And thankfully it was offside, because the ball ends up in the back of the net, and it could well have been 1-1, as Morrison plays out the car. Got a fractured wrist, I think it is, so not a problem playing in with this equipment. As Gash goes over the top, Scully's in. Better goalkeeping this time. I mean, it's been an okay performance, but we've not been that creative. And that is something that's become an issue in recent weeks. We've not had those 7, 8s and 9s we were getting last season. It's been 2s and 3s against the poorer teams. As Owen Kidd plays away to Scully, who's dropped very deep again. Big ball out to Elliott on the right. 3 in support. Got a score from here into Damien Dunn. And yet again, Damien Dunn is shining. Oh, if we could just keep him fit for the rest of the season and he stays in this form, we're going to have a real threat, because he was that first superstar to join the club. And nothing would make me happier than him becoming the star. As Houston goes back to Mackenzie. You could even argue attribute-wise, he's overtaken Merivale Austin again. As Gash gets the ball out wide. Puts it through to Mark Scully. Brilliant run. And a wonderful save by the keeper. I thought that was in. Got a very strong touch on it. And it's over for a corner kick, which Damien Dunn will take. In-swinging delivery towards the back stick as always. Owen Kidd and Mackenzie up. Neither win it. Scully goes back to Houston. Chance to shoot. Way over the bar. And it stays 2-0 as we approach half-time. We're back into those 2 added minutes. And Mackenzie has got the ball in defence. We've got the benefit here of having, 3 Scottish internationals or youth internationals in our team. Morrison in goal, Mackenzie and Houston the under-21, as Misselidis puts that one wide. We've got a lot of familiarity for this competition. And at the moment, we've got a bit too much quality for it. 2-0 at the break, we'll give it 15 more minutes. We only get 3 subs in this competition. We know Misselidis and Dunn have got to be 2 of them. We must protect them. As Misselidis has got a free kick on halfway. Big ball over the top. Dempsey gets it away. Shearing clears downfield and Polworth will get there. But here's Cole Cart on the left, who finds Freeman. Solid game for him, the youngster, who's still developing well. As Gash plays through, it's intercepted. It's out to the left for Hamilton. Can they counter us? Big switch of play to Ebbs, who can carry it forward. And he chips over the top to Polworth. We've been caught here. Mackenzie's got back, but the cross is deflected. Mackenzie will clear it away. Gash flicks on for Dunn. Now we can go at the other end. It's a 4-on-4. Scully beats the centre half, gets into the box. And Mark Scully over the bar. I would like to rest him as well, but I've probably got to look after Jordan Gash. It's a horrible festive run coming up, and I just don't know which players to prioritise. I think given the injuries the 3 I've mentioned have had, we probably have to take them off if possible. Maybe Misselidis can do the 90. He's been back a bit longer. As Scully gets the ball to Freeman. Wide to Elliott on the right. Has support down the line, but goes back again. And Freeman, again solid in position, finds Owen Kidd. Into Gash. Here is Freeman. Good ball to Damien Dunn. Up to Scully, who's in 1-on-1. Mark Scully. Oh, he's put it wide. On his weaker foot, misses the target. Kyle Carr is really struggling as well, but I don't have options in defence. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Bayavang on up front for Mark Scully. I'm going to take Jordan Gash off for Caulfield, I think. And I'm also going to take off Damien Dunn. He's going to be replaced by Morgan Griffiths because he's the one we need to protect most. Morrison chips out to Kyle Carr. Space to carry it forward on the left. Might be under threat if we sign the young Northern Irish star from Derry City we're trying to get. So he could be moving on soon as well as Ebbs gets it. Back to Dowie and now Philip. Some good football from Hamilton in spells, but that is possibly the worst example of it. Curse of the commentator again as Morrison rolls out to Freeman. Not a key highlight so far. You'd imagine something big is coming as Houston into Griffiths and Bayavang. Rare appearance up front for him. Back to Houston. Chips over to Misselidis. He stays on and he gets his goal for it as well. 5th of the season. He's not become the signing we hoped after that initial loan spell where he was brilliant. But he has still been a crucial part of this squad and he scores another goal to seal this game as Carr gets the ball to Mackenzie and Houston. Wide to Carr again. Good to see a couple of the youngsters on, but Caulfield's not really had a touch yet. Houston gives it away in midfield. He might have to work defensively here. Shearing gets it through. It's offside for Polworth, surely. No way he's onside there. It's a shame for him as well because it was an absolutely brilliant finish. But the flag is up. It stays 3-0. We get away with one there. 5 minutes to go. You can see they're pushing forward. Dempsey with a corner. Cleared away Mackenzie. Owen Kidd's there too. Kane gets it wide again. We're coming under a bit of sustained pressure. Freeman's up. What has he done there? Oh, it's the striker who's been given the touch. I thought Freeman had just volleyed it over his own bar, but apparently not. We're into stoppage time. 3 added on. It's not been a completely dominant performance, but we've been the better side. We deserve to win. Good to see Misselidis and Dunn back from the start and back on the score sheet, and many strong performances from the backup team. Let's go and have a look at the schedule for a minute. It's going to be back and find out who we're facing in the next round of this one. Linfield out as well. Well, as you'd probably expect, Coleraine and Larne have both won their league game. We're facing Dumbarton in a semi-final, who are a League One side. Oh, quarter-final, sorry. And Misselidis was player of the match with 2 goals. Great to see that. Let's get through to the schedule and have a look at when we're going to return. And as usual, we'll get through that hectic, busy, festive schedule in the Irish Prem. We've got a real lower league opposition in the Cup as well. And we will come back for 2 games that are quite big towards the end of January. We've got Newcastle away in our final Champions League group game. Hopefully we can get a result against Lyon before that, but we should be through now anyway. And then Coleraine away is the day before it. The main reason I'm coming back there as it stands is to see if those 2 games are indeed just 24 hours apart. We'll be back next time to find out. Of course, we may have some big January departures as well. Are we going to get a record sale for the club? I would expect that to come in this window. If you want to stay up to date and find out, and you did enjoy us getting back to winning ways today, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. You can see the importance of Dunn and Misselidis being back to fitness. And in fact, if you look at our 4 games this month, not one player from our first 11, if everyone's fit, has scored a goal in those 4 matches. So that shows you where we are at the moment, just a little bit of a lull. But over the festive period, it will be 11 changes every game and just about trying to get results. If you want to stay up to date and find out if we get them, as well as seeing which big names are off in January, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. In the meantime, we've got a massive finish to our new Bristol City save tomorrow. Make sure you come and check that one out. There's also a link up there to our top 3 playlist, the Twitch channel and the football podcast with championship predictions every match day. There are a few clips from Northern Irish games the last week as well, so have a look at those up there. A massive thank you for watching as always, and a big thanks to HelloFresh UK for their support throughout August. You can find a discount link for that down in the description, and I'll see you back here in a couple of days' time, hopefully with a slightly better voice, and maybe with a lot of money coming into the club. Will there be any big departures? I'll see you there to find out.